Money does not respect wishes. Money respects structure. You can want to prosper. You can repeat positive affirmations. You can work hard every single day. But until you become the person who knows how to handle money at a strategic level, it will simply pass through your hands. Andrew Carnegie understood this early. He did not start rich. He was not born into financial privilege. There was no inheritance waiting for him. What he had was clarity, the understanding that he needed to transform himself before expecting any external transformation. And that is the central question. Who do you need to become for money to start respecting you? Because money is not emotion. It is consequence. Carnegie began as a telegraph operator, a young immigrant trying to survive. But internally, he was already operating like future industrialist. He observed businesses, studied cash flows, analyzed the decisions of his superiors. He was not just performing tasks. He was training his mindset. The first necessary transformation is mental. You must stop operating as a consumer and start operating as a builder. Consumers ask, what can I buy? Builders ask, what can I create that generate value? Money respects those who create value. Carnegie understood that value is the foundation of all prosperity. He was not seeking a higher salary. He was seeking greater relevance. He wanted to be at the center of industrial growth. He studied trends. He saw the United States expanding, railroads being installed, cities growing, bridges rising. He identified that steel would be the backbone of that expansion. This reveals the second transformation, strategic vision. If you live only in the immediate present, money will not respect you. If you see structural movements before the majority, you gain leverage. Carnegie did not react to the market. He positioned himself ahead of it. Today, the question is, do you see the major transformations of your time? Or are you simply trying to survive the month? Money respects those who anticipate. The third transformation is discipline. Carnegie reinvested aggressively. He modernized factories, reduced costs, increased efficiency. He did not spend to impress. He invested to expand. Money respects those who know how to multiply it. If every income increase turns into a lifestyle increase, you do not build financial power. You build appearance. Carnegie built structure. There is a brutal difference between earning money and keeping money, and an even greater difference between keeping money and multiplying money. For money to respect you, you must become someone who understands numbers, margin of profit, cash flow, return on investment. Carnegie mastered these concepts long before he became a magnate. Do you monitor your personal metrics? Or do you live in financial improvisation? Money respects precision. Another essential transformation is emotional control. Markets rise and fall. Opportunities appear and disappear. Crises emerge. Competitors apply pressure. Carnegie faced severe recessions, intense competition, labor conflicts. Yet he maintained strategic focus. Money respects emotional stability. If you panic during downturns, sell at the bottom, abandon projects at the first obstacle, you demonstrate fragility. And money does not associate with fragility. It associates with consistency. There is also the transformation of identity. Carnegie did not see himself as an employee. He saw himself as a future owner. He analyzed every company he worked for as if it were his own. That internal shift changes your decisions entirely. Employees think in tasks. Owners think in systems. Employees ask, how much will I earn? Owners ask, how can I increase margin? When you begin to think like an owner, even before owning a business, you begin to develop systemic vision. And money respects systemic vision. Another crucial point is focus. Carnegie concentrated his energy on the steel industry until he dominated it. He did not jump from opportunity to opportunity. He went deep. Today, there is excess distraction. Too many ideas. Too many paths. Too many quick promises. But money respects depth, not dispersion. If you change direction with every new trend, you do not build authority. You build fragmentation. For money to respect you, you must become predictable in execution and unpredictable in strategy. That means daily discipline combined with long-term vision. There is also a rarely discussed factor, reputation. Carnegie cultivated trust. He honored agreements, delivered results, built credibility. Money moves through networks of trust. If your word carries no weight, your opportunities shrink. If your reputation is solid, doors open before you even knock. Money respects reputation. And perhaps the deepest transformation is this. You must stop pursuing money as an isolated objective and start pursuing competence, impact, and efficiency. Money then becomes an inevitable consequence. Carnegie eventually sold his company to U.S. Steel, structured by J.P. Morgan, in one of the largest deals of his era. But that was not luck. It was the result of decades spent becoming the right person for that moment. If he had maintained a small mindset, emotional instability, short vision, and weak financial habits, that opportunity would never have happened. Money did not respect him because he wanted it to. It respected him because he was prepared. So return to the central question. Who do you need to become? More disciplined, more strategic, more focused, more technical, more patient, more resilient. Maybe you do not need more opportunities. Maybe you need more internal structure. Money is not attracted to need. It is attracted to competence. And competence is built every single day in the silent decisions that no one sees. Because the truth is that most people do not have a problem with lack of opportunity. They have a problem with lack of internal transformation. Andrew Carnegie did not change his life simply because he worked hard. Millions worked hard during the same period. What set him apart was who he decided to become while he was still invisible. There is a silent moment in the life of every ambitious person, that period when no one recognizes your effort. There is no applause, no extraordinary results, just preparation. Carnegie spent years learning, observing, analyzing, saving, reinvesting before any major public recognition. And here is something crucial. Money respects invisible preparation. If you only act when you feel motivated, you remain average. If you act even when no one is watching, you build structural strength. Another essential transformation is abandoning a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset asks, what if I lose? What if it doesn't work? What if there isn't enough? An expansion mindset asks, how do I increase value? How do I expand margin? How do I scale this? Carnegie did not think small. He thought about dominating large-scale steel production. He thought about superior efficiency. He thought about vertical integration, controlling raw materials, transportation, and manufacturing. That is an expansion mindset. Money respects those who think big with precise execution. But be careful, thinking big is not dreaming without foundation. It is structuring growth in solid stages. First efficiency, then scale. Then market dominance. Many people want scale without efficiency. They want results without competence. They want freedom without discipline. Carnegie built competence first. And that leads to another fundamental transformation, tolerance for prolonged discomfort. Building wealth is boring at the beginning. It is repetition. It is consistency. It is reinvesting when consuming would be more pleasurable. It is studying when distraction would be easier. It is improving processes when no one notices. Money respects those who endure the process. Another powerful dimension is taking calculated risks. Carnegie was not reckless. He analyzed data, trends, cost projections. But when he saw a clear opportunity, he acted with conviction. Some people overanalyze and never execute. Others execute too much without analyzing. Money respects the balance between analysis and action. If you want money to respect you, you must become someone who makes decisions based on strategy, not impulse. There is also the factor of environment. Carnegie surrounded himself with industrialists, investors, entrepreneurs. He moved in circles where major decisions were discussed. That elevated his mental standard. If you only associate with people who treat money as a problem, you internalize limitation. If you associate with people who treat money as a strategic tool, you internalize possibility. Environment shapes expectation. Expectation shapes decision. Decision shapes destiny. Another critical point, clarity of purpose. Carnegie believed that accumulating wealth had a higher function. Later in life, he funded thousands of public libraries and educational institutions. When you connect money to a greater purpose, your decisions become more structured. You think in terms of legacy, not just immediate consumption. Money respects those who know why they want to grow. Now pause and reflect. Do you want money for status? For validation? To prove something? Or to build something solid and lasting? Superficial motivation creates fragile discipline. Deep purpose creates consistent discipline. And here is perhaps the most important point of all. You must become predictable in execution and unpredictable in ambition. Predictable because your daily discipline does not fail. Unpredictable because you think bigger than average. Carnegie was consistent in routine but bold in vision. While many thought about salary, he thought about industry. While many thought about the month, he thought about decades. And money responded to that posture. Because in the end, money is not just paper or a digital number. Money is recognition of value delivered to the market. If you become more valuable, more strategically positioned, more emotionally stable, more technically competent, more consistently disciplined, money begins to flow with less resistance. It begins to trust you. And that is the central metaphor. Money respects those who demonstrate the ability to multiply it. It avoids those who only consume. It stays with those who build. It grows with those who reinvest. So perhaps the most honest question is not, how do I make more money? Perhaps it is, am I becoming someone worthy of managing large resources? If today you receive 10 times what you currently earn, would you know how to structure it? Invest it? Protect it? Scale it? Or would you fall into disorganization? Andrew Carnegie built capacity first. Then came volume. And you? Who do you need to leave behind in order to become the person money respects? Because in the end, this is not about Andrew Carnegie. It is about you. There is an uncomfortable truth that almost no one talks about. The money you have today is a direct reflection of the person you are today. This is not judgment. It is diagnosis. Your level of discipline determines your stability. Your level of vision determines your growth. Your level of courage determines your expansion. Your level of emotional control determines your longevity. Andrew Carnegie was not respected by money by accident. He became someone structurally prepared for major financial responsibility. He thought in systems while others thought in salaries. He thought in decades while others thought in weeks. He thought in scale while others thought in survival. And perhaps that is the shift you need to make right now. Stop asking, how do I earn more? And start asking, who do I need to become? You need to become more strategic. You need to become more disciplined. You need to become more technical. You need to become more focused. You need to become more emotionally stable. You need to become someone who executes even when not motivated. Because motivation is fragile. Identity is powerful. When you identify as a builder of wealth, your decisions change automatically. You begin studying finance with genuine interest. You begin observing opportunities carefully. You begin reducing impulsive consumption. You begin reinvesting intentionally. You begin planning in 5-, 10- and 15-year cycles. That is financial maturity. And here is something essential. Wealth is expanded responsibility. If you cannot manage a small amount, you are not ready to manage a large one. Carnegie started small, but from the beginning he treated every dollar with strategic respect. He understood cost, efficiency, margin, productivity. He prepared himself for larger volumes. Are you doing the same? Or are you waiting for money to solve problems that are actually problems of mindset and structure? There is an implicit principle in Carnegie's trajectory that summarizes everything. First, you build yourself. Then you build wealth. And personal construction involves sacrifice. Sacrifice of distractions. Sacrifice of immediate consumption. Sacrifice of temporary comfort. Sacrifice of social validation. While many wanted to look rich, he wanted to become economically powerful. And there is a brutal difference between appearing and being. Money respects those who do not need to show off. Money respects those who know how to wait. Money respects those who understand risk. Money respects those who honor commitments. Money respects those who have solid reputations. Money respects those who solve big problems. Now imagine your life 10 years from now. If you continue being exactly the same person, with the same habits, same priorities, same discipline, what changes? Probably very little. But if you decide today to elevate your internal standards, study more deeply, execute more consistently, position yourself strategically, invest intelligently, and control your emotions, your trajectory can become unrecognizable. Andrew Carnegie did not change the world simply because he made money. He changed it because he chose to operate at a mental level above the average of his time. And that decision is available to you. It does not depend on luck. It does not depend on inheritance. It does not depend on initial connections. It depends on sustained internal transformation. So before closing, reflect with brutal honesty. Are you living in survival mode or in construction mode? Are you reacting to circumstances or architecting the future? Are you consuming what others build or building something others will consume? Because the day you decide to become someone who consistently creates value, think strategically, reinvest with discipline, and endures the process, money stops being a distant pursuer. It begins to become a predictable ally. And perhaps the greatest insight of all is this: money is not the final prize. It is simply a reflection of the level of person you have become. So the final question is not about bank balance. It is about identity. Who will you decide to be starting today? If this message resonated with you, reflect on it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and write in the comments which transformation you need to begin now. Because destiny changes with decision, but it only materializes through daily execution. And execution begins today.